What is said about Steve Jobs is that he revolutionized our lives with the power of his beliefs and had the ability to pull the world towards his perspective.
Even if all he gave us were Apple computers, Steve Jobs would still be among the most important people of modern times. The late Apple founder and CEO's vision and relentless drive helped change technology forever, and thus the world forever.
But the truth is, much of Apple's success comes from the pressure that Steve Jobs' team brought to him to revise his beliefs. If these people weren't around Jobs and didn't know how to change his mind, Jobs might never be able to change the world. The bad news is that many people, especially leaders and business heads, are so self-assured that they dismiss the good ideas of others, resisting the temptation to let go of their own bad opinions. The good news? Even the most confident, stubborn, and egotistical among us can be persuaded to open their minds. Adam Grant, who graduated in the field of organizational psychology, talks about prejudice and stubbornness in the book and how valuable it is to reconsider.
You might have heard that if you drop a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out right away. But if you put it in lukewarm water and then slowly heat it up, the frog won't survive. The frog's big problem is that it lacks the ability to rethink the situation. It doesn't realize that the warm bath is becoming a death trap until it's too late. Humans might be smarter than frogs, but our world is full of slow-boiling pots. Think about how slow people were to react to warnings about a pandemic, climate change, or a democracy in peril. We fail to recognize the danger because we're reluctant to rethink the situation.
Here are Adam Grant's suggestions for persuading stubborn individuals. 1. Ask them for an explanation. The first obstacle to changing the views of others is arrogance. We've all encountered people who are overconfident, unaware that they really don't know much. If we directly point out their ignorance, they may become defensive. The better thing is to let them recognize the perception gaps in themselves. In a series of experiments, psychologists asked students at Yale University to rate their knowledge of how things work that they deal with every day, such as televisions and toilets. The students were quite sure of their knowledge until they were asked to write their own explanations about these two devices step by step. When they try to explain how a television transmits a picture or how a toilet flush works, they lose their overconfidence and suddenly realize how little they know. Trying to explain something complex can be a humbling experience, even for someone like Steve Jobs. 2. Let the stubborn person take the reins. The second obstacle to changing people's beliefs is stubbornness. Stubborn individuals consider stability and certainty as virtues. It seems that even after correction, their minds are still resistant. Research shows that asking questions instead of giving answers can overcome defensive attitudes. You don't tell your boss what to think or what to do. You give them control in their own hands and invite them to share their thoughts. 3. Find the right way to praise a narcissist. The third obstacle to changing minds is self-centeredness. Narcissistic individuals believe they are superior, special, and should be approached with kindness when it comes to pointing out their mistakes and imperfections.
So the signs of narcissistic personality disorder are going to be any of the following. You believe you're more important than others. You're preoccupied with fame or wealth or status. You are entitled. You can only really be around people that are highly special or have high status. You take advantage of other people. If you have 5 or more of those, then you might meet criteria for narcissistic personality disorder.
Bullies and narcissists are often assumed to have low self-esteem, but research paints a different picture, revealing they possess high but fragile self-confidence. They react aggressively when their self-image is challenged, such as when confronted with criticism or embarrassment. However, their need for approval can be leveraged to overcome their dismissive nature towards contrary opinions. Studies from the US and China show that narcissistic individuals can exhibit humility, recognizing their own talent and flaws alike. You just have to push them in this direction. In 1997, shortly after Steve Jobs returned as CEO of Apple, he attended a worldwide developers conference. During the Q&A session, someone strongly criticized Apple's software and Jobs himself. However, Jobs responded with humility.
One of the hardest things when you're trying to affect change is that people like this gentleman are right in some areas. I'm sure that there are some things OpenDoc does, probably even more that I'm not familiar with, that nothing else out there does.
How did the critic elicit such a calm response? He started his remarks with a compliment.
Mr. Jobs, you're a bright and influential man.
Here it comes.
As this story shows, admiration and praise can be a powerful antidote to the insecurity of a narcissist. The key point is to praise individuals in a different area from where you hope to change their opinion. If you want to persuade a narcissistic person to reconsider a choice, it is a mistake to praise their decision-making skills. Instead, it is better to praise their creativity. We all have multiple identities, and when we feel secure in one aspect of ourselves, we become more open to accepting our shortcomings in another area. 4. Oppose the nonconformists. The last obstacle to persuasion is incompatibility. It is important to sometimes stand up and have the upper hand in front of incompatible people instead of backing down. These people usually get energy from conflict, and they don't like you to bow down to them immediately. When researchers examined how CEOs decide which managers to nominate for board seats in other companies, it was found that those who have the habit of engaging in discussions with their managers are more likely to be chosen. This indicated that they are willing to fight for their own ideas and change their opinions. In the 1980s at Apple, the Mac team managers awarded one person per year who had the courage to stand up against Steve Jobs. Eventually, Jobs promoted each winner to oversee a key department of the company. Organizations require strong leaders like Jobs, but equally need critics who can handle confident or stubborn peers. Success hinges on cognitive strength and adaptability. When managers lack the necessary openness to question their own beliefs, it becomes necessary for others to have the courage to persuade them for a change of perspective. Alright, that's it for today, friend. So next time you face a Jobs-like figure, remember, it's not just about having ideas, but the courage to challenge and the resilience to adapt. Be sure to subscribe and share this video with your colleagues and friends who might be dealing with a stubborn boss or peers.